Today we are going to discuss about the evolution of basic structure doctrine. The basic structure doctrine is the core concept of the Indian Constitution. And now we are looking into the matter how this basic structure doctrine has been evolved through the time. First we will look into the initial position, how we thought at first how this basic structure doctrine was constructed. When you look into the matter, the initial position was that under the Article 368, every part of the Constitution can be amendment. If that is true, then the fundamental rights can also be amended under Article 368. That was the position before. After the whole conflict of the evolution of basic structure doctrine came into place. Then, in the year 1951, the First Amendment came, and that is the first step of the Parliament to show its supremacy over the judiciary and the legislature. So, what was that all about? The First Amendment actually tells us about that there will be a ninth schedule in the Constitution, and the ninth schedule will be the protector of the laws. It means any laws that are put into the ninth schedule that cannot be amended, that cannot be changed, that is the supreme. And secondly, there was thing, Fourth Amendment came. In the Fourth Amendment basically talks about the restriction on property rights and the inclusion of related bills regarding the property rights that was placed in the ninth schedule. Because there was a time the state laws redistributing land from Jamindar states on the grounds that the laws violated the Jamindar's fundamental rights, and the Parliament of India, to protect its authority to implement the land distribution, put all the laws regarding the land reforms or Jamindari system into the ninth schedule to protect it. And the whole conflict suddenly surfaced. Then the Supreme Court countered these amendments in 1967 gave its judgment regarding Golaknath versus State of Punjab. And the Supreme Court first time said the fundamental rights cannot be the playthings of the majority. Not only that, fundamental rights cannot be changed. Though the basic structure doctrine concept was not uttered by the Supreme Court at that moment, but there was a hint that something called core of the Constitution, like fundamental rights, must be there, that cannot be changed by any parliament laws or any parliament amendment. But the whole thing started to counter the Golaknath judgment. The Parliament passed the 24th Amendment in 1971. This amendment is particularly going against the ruling of Supreme Court Golaknath's judgment. And this amendment expressly mentioned that Parliament has the power to amend any part of the Constitution, including the fundamental rights of the Constitution. Hence, the whole conflict started to brew, and the Supreme Court countered this position in 1973 when Keshav Nanda Bharati challenged the validity of 24th, 25th, 26th and 29th Amendment. And the greatest judgment of all time came into place. It is the Keshav Nanda Bharati versus State of Kerala totally rewrite the whole constitution by giving birth the concept of basic structure. This basic structure of the constitution includes the supremacy of the constitution, secular character of the constitution, federal character of the constitution, maintenance of the separation of powers, a republic and democratic form of the government. But the court, with saying the basic structure doctrine, also held that although no part of the constitution, including the fundamental rights, was beyond the amending power of the parliament, but the basic structure of the constitution cannot be amended at any cost. And by these judgment, the whole scenario of the constitution was changed. Then the judgment of Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narayan referred the Keshav Nanda Bharati's case, and the Supreme Court wholeheartedly accepted the doctrine of basic structure. And in Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narayan, the Supreme Court held that judicial review is the basic structure of the constitution and it cannot be taken away by any amendment. Now the ball is in the court of parliament, and in 42nd amendment, the parliament, to neutralize the effect of the doctrine of basic structure, added the clauses of 4 and 5 of article 368. By adding those clauses, they declared that there shall be no limitation on the amending power of the parliament under article 368. But the Supreme Court hasn't stopped by making the basic structure doctrine into its full effect. After this amendment, the Minerva Mills case solidifies the base of basic structure doctrine. And in 1980, Minerva Mills versus Union of India, the Supreme Court struck down the clauses 4 and 5 of the Article 368 inserted by the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution. And in this case, the Supreme Court held that there are also some other basic structure of the Constitution, like limited power of the Parliament to amend the Constitution, harmony and balance between fundamental rights and the directive principles, fundamental rights in certain cases, and power of judicial review in certain cases. So this is the evolution of basic structure doctrine. Hope you people like it. Do subscribe our button below.